In this video, I'm going to show you how to create collections for individual objects within your game, and then how to create instances for those objects so that you can reuse them over and over again within your scene or within a different scene as well. This is going to save you a lot of time, especially as your game grows and you start to have more and more instances of the same object. The advantage of using instances is that it allows you to have one object that you can update and make changes to, and then that will automatically update all of the instances of that same object throughout your game. As your game grows and you begin to have more and more instances, that's going to become a very time-consuming task. If you need to make a change to, say, your player, and you have 10 different players, you'll have to go through to all 10 of your players and make those changes. So to start out with, I have my basic jump game where I have a player standing on a platform and he has the logic that allows him to jump if you press the space bar, and then he has a jumps property that gets incremented, which is currently displayed in the top left under debug properties. Let's say I wanted to make a new level for my game. Maybe this is the daytime jump level. I want to make a nighttime jump level. I can start by doing a full copy of my day level and call it night. And then maybe make some adjustments to my light. I can dim the light a little bit. Maybe make it 50%. Not 50, 0.5. And maybe dim the sky, make it a darker color. It looks like a nighttime sky. All right, so I have my daytime level and my nighttime level. And I could play each level individually. I can jump here with my player. I can jump here with my player. Now let's say I want to make changes to my player. Maybe I want to come out here and I want to edit my player. And I want to do a loop cut here. Did I not loop cut? I did not loop cut. Come on. Okay, so I loop cut my player. Maybe I want to add a head texture to my player. So I select all the top faces. Go over here, add a new material slot, add a new material, say player head, player head. Maybe I'll make them green and assign that. All right. And maybe I want to make other changes to my player as well. Maybe I want to increase his jump height. So instead of a jump force of 10, I give him a jump force of 15. So my daytime player is good. But if I switch to my nighttime player, none of those changes have taken effect. He's still just the old player with the normal jump height. So how can instances help us? Well, what we can do is we could create a new collection up here by clicking the new collection button. Call this player. And we can move the player object or objects into this collection. This doesn't change the functionality of my level at all. The player still acts the same way. He still jumps. He still gets incremented every time he jumps, and he has the green head. But what this lets us do is we could switch over to scene view and switch to our nighttime scene. And let's get rid of this player. So I'm going to click on him and press X to delete him. And I'm going to look in my scene collection for daytime. And I'm going to right click on player and say instance to scene. And that's going to add the new player here to my nighttime scene. So now I have an exact copy of my player from my daytime scene in my nighttime scene. Now I can't edit this. If I try to go into edit mode or do any changes to this, it won't let me because this is only an instance. If I want to make changes, I have to go back to the original object. And there's a couple ways to organize your collections. One is you could just have all the collections for all your objects in your levels and just keep track of where the original object is located. But one thing I've been doing is creating like asset scenes where I have my player and my collectibles and my goals, and I have all the original collections there. That way they're all in one place, and I just place instances throughout my levels as I need them. And it's kind of up to you, up to personal preference, how you want to do that. But now let's say I wanted to make changes to this. Maybe I want to try to give my player some arms. So let's say we want to subdivide. I'm going to select this face and say subdivide. Let's do 2 cuts. And I'm going to extrude this face. Actually, I could do that with the E key and say 0.2, 0.25. Nope. 0.5, that's too far. 0.35. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to select this face. I'm going to right click, subdivide. Give them 3 cuts. I'm going to select this face, E for extrude, and say 0.35. Just pop them out there. Alright, so now my little alien friend has arms. I can maybe color that if I don't like the top of this arm. Oh, I'm editing the wrong object. Psh. Say this should be the player color, and I can do that on the other side too. Alright. So our alien friend has arms now. But the beauty of instances, if I go to my nighttime player, you'll see that my nighttime player has arms as well. Using instances also simplifies your Python logic for saving and loading properties. And that's because the instances all share the same name. So for example, my player instance in nighttime is called player, and in daytime it's also called player. Before, when I had a copy of my player in the nighttime, because you can't have 2 objects with the same name, I had player in the daytime and player 001 in the nighttime. And so in order to save and load properties, I would have to have separate Python logic to do that. And I do cover that in a separate video. All right, so we've covered how to make instances using collections, and then we've covered how to add instances of those collections to your scene by right-clicking on the collection and say instance to scene, and then you can move those around. And you can do this using players, you could do this using collectibles. That way you have collectibles, say if your collectible is a coin, all your coins look the same, they all act and behave the same way. You could do this with enemies if you have a specific type of enemy and they both act and do the exact same thing. It's really going to save you a lot of time rather than having to design each individual enemy and program the logic for each individual enemy. And then if you have to make changes, go through and change each individual instance of your enemy or collectible. So thanks for watching and happy blending.